The story begins with a small crop dusting plane named Dusty Crofhopper. He spends his days spraying crops over farmland, but deep down, Dusty has a much bigger dream. He wants to become a racer. Even though he's just a crop duster, he practices racing in his free time with his best friend Chug. Chug helps guide him using a racing manual, doing everything he can to turn Dusty's dream into reality. But during one of these practice runs, Dusty starts having issues with one of his parts, so he heads over to his mechanic friend Dottie. When Dottie finds out that Dusty has started racing again, she gets really upset. She warns him, "This isn't what you're built for. You're a crop duster, not a racer." But Dusty doesn't listen. Later, Dusty and Chug are watching a racing crash on TV, and that's when Chug realizes something. He tells Dusty, "This book doesn't have everything about racing. We need real help." So they decide to go meet Skipper. Chug explains that Skipper is a retired military plane. He hasn't flown in years, but back in his day, he shot down nearly 50 enemy planes. He was part of a legendary squadron called the Jolly Wrenches, one of the most feared and respected teams in the Navy. When they arrive, Dusty nervously rings the doorbell, while Chug hides behind him in fear. Skipper comes out. Dusty hesitates, then says, "I'm planning to compete in the Wings Around the Globe rally. I know you don't fly anymore, but will you train me?" Without saying much, Skipper shuts the door. Chug tells Dusty, "That's just his style. Try again." So Dusty rings the bell once more, and this time the gate opens. Dusty says, "I heard you shot down 50 planes." Skipper replies coldly, "Do you want to be number 51? Then he adds, "Take my advice. Go get yourself checked." The next day, Dusty heads to the race qualifiers with his friends. That's where we're introduced to Ripslinger, a famous racer known as the Green Tornado, a champion who usually only shows up in the finals. The challenge is simple. Whoever flies through the towers in the shortest time, the top 5 racers will qualify for the Wings Around the Globe rally. One by one, racers take off. And finally, it's Dusty's turn. Everyone starts laughing. A crop duster? In a race? But Dusty ignores them and gives it everything he's got. He flies incredibly well, but in the end, he finishes in 6th place, just 1 spot short. That means he doesn't qualify. Heartbroken, Dusty returns to his normal life, back to spraying crops. But the next day, everything changes. An official from the race shows up, asking for Dusty. Right then, Dusty arrives and says, "Yeah, that's me." The official explains, the racer who finished in 5th place used illegal fuel and has now been disqualified, which means the 6th place finisher, Dusty Crofhopper, is officially in the race. Chug is overjoyed. He spreads the news to everyone, and they all celebrate. But Skipper shows up and gives Dusty a serious warning. "You're still just a rookie. You're going up against the best racers out there. You're not fast enough, and you can't even handle advanced maneuvers." He looks at Dusty and says, "Forget racing. Stick to crop dusting." But Dusty finally speaks from the heart. "You fought battles. You're a hero, but I haven't done anything yet. I want to do something bigger, something that actually matters." There's a moment of silence. Then Skipper says, "Be here at 5 a.m. for training." The next morning, Dusty shows up. Skipper tells him, "I want to see how you fly." Dusty takes off, but he stays low, barely above the ground. Skipper shouts, "Get up there, fly higher." Dusty goes up a little, then quickly comes back down. Skipper asks, "Why'd you come back?" And Dusty admits it. "I'm afraid of heights." Skipper pauses, then says, "We'll deal with that later. Right now, we focus on your speed." He sets up a challenge. Dusty has to race against the shadow of a high-flying plane and beat it to the finish line. Day and night, Dusty trains. But no matter how hard he tries, he can't outrun that shadow. His top speed is stuck at 215 miles per hour. That's when Dottie steps in to help. She upgrades his torque, giving him a serious boost. Dusty tries again. This time, he pushes harder than ever, and finally, he overtakes the shadow. His speed jumps to 317 miles per hour. Dusty has leveled up. His training is complete. Skipper places his squadron emblem on Dusty and says, "I'll be your wingman from right here." Dusty takes off, heading toward New York for the big race. But during landing, he almost crashes. He barely manages to save himself. Shaken, but still determined, Dusty makes his way to the racing hangar. That's when he sees Bulldog, a veteran racer he really admires. Excited, Dusty asks him, "How do you pull off such high G-turns?" Bulldog looks at him and says, "Kid, this is racing. Out here, no one's your friend." That hits hard. Next, Dusty goes up to Ripslinger. But instead of encouragement, Ripslinger just mocks him. "Hey look, the crop duster thinks he's a racer." Right then, another racer shows up, Chupacabra. He's loud, funny, and full of energy. He instantly connects with Dusty. And just like that, the two become friends. Turns out both of them are racing for the very first time. The next day, all the racers line up on the runway. A reporter announces, "This year's biggest challenge. Can anyone stop Ripslinger, who's aiming to win this race for the 4th time?" Back home, Dusty's friends are watching everything on TV. Meanwhile, at the stadium, all the racers make their grand entrance. Dusty looks around, completely overwhelmed. The massive crowd, the energy, and everywhere he looks, people are chanting Ripslinger's name. That's when a Canadian racer named Rochelle arrives. The The moment Chupacabra sees her, he's completely lost. He whispers to Dusty, "Man, it's like an angel just came down from heaven." And just like that, the first leg of the race begins. New York to Iceland. Engines roar to life, and the race is on. All the planes shoot high into the sky, but Dusty hesitates. His fear kicks in. Instead of climbing, he stays low, and within seconds, he falls behind everyone. As he flies through the freezing air, the cold starts getting to him. He's shivering, struggling, but somehow, he manages to catch up with the others by the end. Even then, the other racers laugh at him. Meanwhile, Chupacabra tries talking to Rochelle, but she barely notices him. Just then, Dusty gets a call from Chug. "How's it feel up there?" Dusty smiles and says, "It's amazing, but I almost crashed into an iceberg." Skipper jumps in and tells him, "Push harder, you need more speed." And now the second leg begins. Iceland to Germany. This time, Dusty gathers his courage. He climbs higher than before and starts moving ahead, but suddenly, Bulldog runs into trouble. His systems fail. He can't see anything, and he starts going down. Without thinking twice, Dusty turns back. He flies right beside Bulldog, guiding him through the air, and safely leads him to the finish line. Bulldog makes it, but Dusty, he finishes last. Again, Bulldog looks at him and says, "Thanks, mate," but right then Ripslinger shows up. He smirks and says, "You've got a good heart, but nice guys, they never win." That line lingers. Later that night, all the racers are at a party. Music, lights, celebration everywhere. Chupacabra walks up to Dusty, disappointed. "Rochelle rejected me." Dusty pats him and says, "Hey, it happens." Just then, a small car named Franz rolls in. He's a huge fan of Dusty. Dusty's surprised. "Wait, I have fans?" Franz excitedly says, "I've got some advice for you." He points at Dusty's equipment. "Why are you carrying all that extra weight? Drop the spray tanks, you'll be faster." Dusty thinks about it, and then he does it. He removes the tanks. Suddenly, he feels lighter, faster. It makes him happy. Now, the third leg begins. Germany to India. This time, all racers have to fly below the clouds. And something interesting happens. Dusty starts gaining attention. Every news channel is talking about him. The crop duster who's winning hearts, not just races. From last place, Dusty climbs up to 8th. Reporters surround him. "Where did you learn to race?" Dusty proudly says, "My coach, Skipper." And he goes on, praising him. But somewhere else, Ripslinger watches this furious. He says, "A small-town nobody is not going to stop me from making history." Cut to Skipper, watching Dusty on screen. For the first time, he gets emotional. He tries to fly again, but he can't. The next day, Dusty gets another call from Chug, and this time, Skipper personally guides him, telling him exactly what to do in the next leg. Meanwhile, Chupacabra tries once again to impress Rochelle, but she still ignores him and walks away. Just then, Dusty is approached by Ishani, an Indian racing plane. She congratulates him on his performance and offers to show him something special. She takes him to see the Taj Mahal. For a moment away from the race, the two just enjoy the view and spend some peaceful time together. Before leaving, Ishani gives Dusty a tip. During tomorrow's race, you can cut through a railway tunnel in the mountains. It's risky, but you'll save a lot of time. Dusty listens carefully. The next day, the fourth leg begins. India to Nepal. Dusty decides to take the shortcut. He flies straight into the narrow tunnel between the mountains, but suddenly, a train appears, rushing straight toward him. For a split second, it feels like it's over. But at the last moment, Dusty makes it out alive. Shaken, he keeps flying. When he reaches the airport, the officials are shocked. No other racer has arrived yet. You're the first one here. Dusty can't believe it. For the first time, he's in first place, and now everyone is talking about him. Dusty immediately goes to Ishani. Confused, upset, he asks, "Why would you give me that route? I almost died out there." That's when he notices something, a brand new propeller, and instantly, he understands. Ishani didn't help him for free. She did it on Ripslinger's orders. As Dusty walks away, he says sarcastically, "Thanks, Ripslinger. Guess I owe you one for getting me first place." Now, Dusty Crofhopper is in first place. Ripslinger drops to second, and suddenly, Dusty becomes everyone's favorite. The underdog is now the star. He calls Skipper to share the news. At the same time, Chug and Dottie tell him, "We're coming to Mexico to watch you race." Meanwhile, Chupacabra is still trying to impress Rochelle. This time, he's singing loudly, way too loud. Dusty walks up to him and says, "Hey, try singing a little softer from the heart." Chupacabra takes his advice. He sings again, this time gently. And finally, Rochelle smiles. It works. But somewhere else, Ripslinger isn't smiling. He's planning something to take Dusty down. And now, the sixth and most dangerous leg begins. From China all the way to Mexico. Mid-race, Ripslinger's crew makes their move. They damage Dusty's antenna, which means he loses navigation. He's completely lost. And to make things worse, his fuel is running out. Just when things seem hopeless, a Navy ship appears. They rescue Dusty and bring him on board. They repair him and refuel his tank. While he's there, Dusty notices something strange. There's only one mission marked for Skipper. Confused, he starts wondering why. Meanwhile, back home, all of Dusty's friends are on their way to Mexico. Dusty contacts Skipper and says, "I'm not in Mexico. I'm on a ship with the Jolly Wrenches, and there's only one mission here with your name on it." Skipper pauses, then quietly says, "Yeah, that's true." Dusty takes off again, but now, the weather has turned brutal. A massive storm surrounds him. Back in Mexico City, Chupacabra and Dishani realize something. Ripslinger is behind all of this, and slowly, everyone starts to believe Dusty didn't make it, that he's gone. But in reality, Dusty is trapped inside the storm, fighting to stay alive, and at the same time, he can't stop thinking about Skipper's past. The storm gets worse, and finally, Dusty loses control and crashes into the ocean. Everything goes silent. But moments later, the Navy rescues him again and brings him safely to Mexico. However, Dusty is in terrible condition. Several of his parts are badly damaged. He can barely function, which means he can't race anymore. Soon, his friends arrive, and seeing him like this, it breaks their hearts. Later, Dusty sits down with Skipper, alone. He wants the truth. Skipper finally opens up. "My squadron, they were all rookies once, but they were the best because I trained them." He pauses, remembering. "One day, we were out on a routine patrol when we spotted what looked like a single enemy warship. The team thought it was an easy target, so they moved in, but it was a trap. That one ship turned into many. Enemy warships were hidden all around us, and before we knew it, we were surrounded. They were outnumbered, outgunned. We went down, all of us." Skipper's voice grows heavy, and after that, "I never had the courage to fly again." Silence fills the moment. The next day, something incredible happens. Chupacabra shows up, bringing replacement wings for Dusty. And not just him, all the racers come together, each one helping, giving whatever Dusty needs. For the first time, it's not a competition, it's a team. Dottie works tirelessly, repairing Dusty piece by piece. And finally, Dusty is ready again, stronger than ever. He faces Ripslinger and challenges him. Ripslinger smirks, already planning another dirty move. But this time, Skipper overhears everything. And now the final leg begins. Mexico to New York. Engines roar, the last race is on. Dusty takes off with full determination. This time there's no fear. One by one, he starts passing every racer. High above, the others fly at altitude, but Dusty stays low, playing it smart. Then Ripslinger notices something. They're out of camera range. No one's watching. That's his chance. He signals his crew. They move in and attack Dusty. But suddenly, Skipper arrives. He dives right into the action, distracting them, holding them off. Now it's a fair fight. Dusty joins in. Together they push back against Ripslinger's crew. But in the chaos, Ripslinger pulls ahead. Dusty sees this and pushes himself harder than ever. He accelerates, catching up, flying side by side with the green tornado. But Ripslinger blocks him again. Not this time. Dusty climbs higher, higher than ever before, facing his biggest fear. And finally, the wind catches him, lifting him, boosting his speed. He surges forward, closing the gap. Now he's right behind Ripslinger, just inches away from victory. As they approach the finish line, Ripslinger looks toward the cameras, posing for the win. And in that exact moment, Dusty makes his move. He slips past him from the side and crosses the finish line. First, Dusty wins. Ripslinger loses control and crashes. The crowd erupts. The underdog is now a champion. Dusty becomes a racing star. He thanks all his friends because he knows he didn't get here alone. Just then, Franz rolls up again. He smiles and says, "You're an inspiration to everyone who believes they can win through hard work and heart." Dusty smiles, because now he finally believes it too. Meanwhile, everyone starts laughing at Ripslinger, the unbeatable champion. And in the end, Dusty joins Skipper in the Navy. Teacher and student, now flying side by side together. They take off into the sky, and that's where the story ends. And that's what makes Dusty's story so powerful. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is how far you're willing to go. If you believe in chasing your dreams, hit that like button. And if you want more inspiring stories like this, make sure to subscribe.